Hi everyone, welcome back to Pine Hollow Auto Diagnostics. It is a hot one today. It's already almost 90 degrees. It's not even 10 a.m. And what's behind me? A 1993 Cadillac Allante. I didn't know more than one of these was still on the road, but apparently there's another one. Remember we did that red one that wouldn't even start? This one drove here from 8 hours away in North Carolina. Customer complaints? The driver's side window doesn't roll down. That's kind of sucks in this weather. The trunk doesn't close all the way. That's familiar. We'll take care of that by adjusting the pull-down mechanism. A couple other minor things. We'll take a look at the list. But let's get started. I have to get into this thing. It's almost, it's a black car with leather interior. Probably going to melt. Actually, the window does roll down. How about that? Okay. Let's get this thing in the shop. Inflatable restraint. Check info center. Check oil level. Theft system problem. Car may not restart. Theft system problem. Let's see, do the wipers work? Wipers work, okay. Let's read the note. Alright, here we go. Let's read the customer complaint. Make a list here. Ivan, fan motor runs when ignition is off. AC needs charge and has a leak. Driver's side window not working. Convertible top rear pull down motor not working. But motor is new. Replaced the Allante source with Palm Beach. Worked the shop and quit. They also repaired some wiring that was damaged by rodent while in storage. Installing battery disconnect would be great. Passenger headlight is out. Trunk pull down works most of the time. These pull down motors sometimes won't work, but when I check them after some time, they will have pulled down by themselves. See, I had a no start problem, wouldn't turn over. Mechanic said he ran a new ground and now it starts. I took it home and next time I started it, the key lock turned 360 degrees, broke inside. Mechanic replaced the lock set but told me he tied the old ignition up under the dash with the key in it. Key with resistor in it. Maybe that makes sense to you, but it starts okay. I think that's all, but I may think of something else. Mirror is this color, but not too worried about that. Stop for gas. 100 miles back. Fuel door control in console wouldn't activate. Had to pry the gas lid open. Then trunk wouldn't pull down. But the good part is the driver's window now operates. So these cars, obviously they're over 30 years old now. So they're going to have issues. And you have to love them to maintain them on the road. So I respect people who do that. Bunch of little annoying stuff. Right? So I'm going to make a list and we'll start chipping away at it. And hopefully we'll fix some of the stuff, no parts required. Or at least simplify some things so the owner can fill his car with gas and close his trunk fine. And I'm not sure about the window. If it doesn't act up, I don't know what to do about that. The AC, we'll take a look at that, try to find the leak. Maybe it's the same seal that failed on the last one. But should be a fun time. Alright, let's start with the easy stuff. The fuel door, so to open that, you unlock this console. There's a button, it says fuel door. So if I press it, you can definitely hear something, but it's not opening. Okay, now, what if I kind of help it out? So if I press the button while holding it in, it opens just fine. So not opening, hold it in, opens just fine. So that I'm not going to worry about. It works. You just need to do that. Luckily, you're sitting right here. You can reach it from the driver's seat while pushing the button. You hold the button down, give it a push, opens right up, no problem. Alright, let's try the headlights. So push this button right here. Sure enough, the right low beam's out. High beam works. Low beam is out on the right side. Indicator works. Even the stock works. So let's replace that bulb. Maybe we'll replace both bulbs. Well, first off, that check engine oil level message. Let's check the engine oil. There's nothing on the dipstick. The guy drove it however many hours, so apparently he burned some oil on the highway. Let's add a couple quarts. Alright, added a couple quarts of 10W30, and we're back to the max. Fantastic. Let's take care of the headlights. Alright, the headlight bulb wasn't too bad to reach. Right here it's a 9004 bulb, high and low beam in one unit, dual filament. Let's see if it works. Sure does. High beam, low beam. Alright, that's fixed. Alright, let's focus on the trunk here. Holy crap, we got a mess. This thing is completely destroyed. The pull down mechanism, you see the motors coming out. This thing's shot, so the best we can do is try to put it back together and put it in that closed state and just fix it in place so it doesn't try to move or destroy itself. The whole thing is just completely messed up. So here's what we have. This piece is the striker assembly. Got two contacts going to the motor, which is also on its last legs. It's falling apart because the plastic is all cracked and disintegrating. What can we do? Oh boy. How can we attach this thing so it stays in place? I'm going to have to figure something out. Well, this is the best I can do for now. So I put two strong zip ties around the latch motor and screwed in the pull down, so it's mostly secure, and I think that's about the right height, so the trunk should still close and latch right there, and it's, you know, pretty flush and still opens fine. Let's try the trunk release from inside the car. And for this, the ignition switch does need to be on, or at least in the accessory position. We're on. Yep, there it goes. Trunk is open. So that's as good as we're going to do without replacing the whole trunk pull-down motor assembly. Next customer complaint on the Cadillac Allante: air conditioning and blower motor. He says sometimes the fan, he was referring to the blower motor, stays on after he shut it down. That's exactly what we saw on the other 93 Allante. It needs a blower resistor. At least that one did, but we'll have to check this one. Also, the air conditioning is apparently low on charge. So let's fire it up. So this stuff, low fan, high fan, there's no fan action at all. And then this little message center here that is really bad on the glare. After all this stuff, it'll say air conditioning malfunction or air compressor. There you go. Step system problem. Car may not restart. Low AC refrigerant. AC compressor on. Step system problem. Low AC refrigerant. AC compressor off. theft system problem. And when the theft system comes on, then you get the little orange theft indicator light. Okay, let's start with the blower motor and hook up the AC machine. So the owner here had the blower motor unplugged, and if I try plugging it in, he said it runs with the key out. Yep, sure does. Okay. One thing we want to do is measure voltage on the control wire. Make sure the control voltage isn't high or something silly. And if it's not, needs a new one of these blower motor resistor. Yep, we have 0 volts on the control wire with the key out. We could check, start it up, and see if this voltage goes up just to make sure the controls are good, and then we'll order that resistor. Alright, you guys can see the voltmeter right there. It's 0 volts right now. So I'm going to start it up. About 6 volts. That's low fan, normal speed, high speed. There you go. 10 volts, low speed, 5 volts. Perfect. So the control side is awesome. We just need a resistor. Alright, well, next thing I want to do is scan it for codes, see what's up with the anti-theft system. And customer also said this cruise control didn't work on this trip, so we can look into that. So to scan for codes, we go to off and warm, hold it. Here we go, all the lights are on. I'm going to write down these codes here. Alright, here we go. P030, P058, B448, no lighting codes, R026, T071 current, S021, S044, S061, S062. It says PCM. Alright, so here is the list of trouble codes. We had a P030 idle speed control ISC RPM out of range history code. The P058 passkey fuel enable problem, passkey fuel inhibit D. It says theft system problem, car may not restart message. Okay, so we can look up this code specifically and see why the theft message keeps coming on. Alright, so what I'm going to do is clear out all the codes. There we go. Here's the diagnostic trouble code description for P058. Indication that the fuel enable input has failed after a good signal was received in a given engine run cycle. The passkey system enables engine operation by allowing the starter motor to engage, issuing a fuel enable signal to the PCM. Once the engine is running, PCM continuously monitors the fuel enable signal. Testing for a circuit or passkey module failure that would prohibit a positive fuel enable on future ignition cycles. The PCM will not cancel fuel injection after it has been approved within a given ignition cycle. Therefore, stalling conditions cannot be the result of passkey system failure. So I wonder if this problem, it's a history code, so if we do clear codes, yes, PCM code's clear. BCM, so I'll go through all of the modules. Clear out all the codes and we'll restart it and see if that theft message comes back on. Alright, so all the codes are cleared. I want to just double check. No airbag codes, no traction codes, S021 current. There's only one code left. Let's shut it off. Let it go to sleep. Open the door. So when you open the door, theft system armed is blinking. That's fine. Now let's restart it. Good morning. Monitoring systems. Monitor systems okay. Okay, airbag lights blinking. Check info center. Theft system problem. Car may not restart. Okay. Shut her down. Key back on. Scan it for codes. Pretty neat that you don't need a scanner for this. P058 came right back. No BCM codes. No lighting codes. No SIR codes. No TCS codes. S021. Okay, so S021 is current, and P058 comes up every time. Alright, let's see what was modified with this passkey system. So first, I see this ignition key. This must be the original key. It's taped into this lock cylinder, and that's plugged into the harness. This pigtail is unplugged. That comes from the new lock cylinder, I'm guessing. That's the passkey module, and there's a wire right here. It looks like maybe a black with a yellow stripe. It's really tight under the dash. I apologize for the camera shots, but that's just bypassed and tied to an eyelet to ground right here. Is that the fuel enable signal? I don't know. Let's look at a wiring diagram. This black and yellow wire. I wonder what that is. Maybe that's why the code is setting. And we can also unplug this lock cylinder and measure the resistance of this key and just install a little resistor in here instead of this contraption, because that would be more reliable. Alright, so this is very interesting. Here's the wiring diagram for the anti-theft system. So the wire that was cut was this black and yellow. That's the starter enable output. They just grounded this wire, so when you turn the key to crank, the starter will engage, regardless of what the anti-theft system is doing. Now, the cranking fuel enable output is right here. Now it's a pulse signal. Okay. Cranking fuel enable input, it's 5 volts, it's a pull down. So we can tie into that, see what that's doing. But let's measure the resistance of this old key and see if the module is happy with it, because I don't think the car would even run if it wasn't happy with this resistance. So the resistance of this key is 5.98 kiloohms. Steady. So that's not the problem. It's happy with the key. For some reason that fuel enable signal is doesn't like that. So we can put a scope on it. But it looks like if this module is happy with the key and it's not enabling the starter and not happy with the fuel enable signal and not setting any other codes, the problem is going to be in the module itself. So if it starts and runs reliably and just that warning is on, you know, you can probably live with that. But if you want to fix it right, you got to get a new module, and that has its own, you know, whatever key code. So it could be kind of a pain in the butt to restore it to factory specification. Alright, picoscope's hooked up. I'm using 2 channels down by that theft module. Let's see where they're hooked up. So channel 1 is hooked up on this cranking fuel enable output signal right here. So I'm just using a piercing probe. and that will be a pulled down signal by the module. So we're supposed to have 5 volts coming from the PCM, and the module is supposed to toggle it to ground. So we'll see what that does on key on and crank, and then engine run. Channel 2 I put on this starter enable output. So remember, this wire was cut previously and just grounded, so whenever you turn the key to crank, the relay energizes and it cranks no matter what this passkey module is doing. However, the little pigtail that was left, I clipped onto that, and now I'm feeding it 12 volts through a little test light, 300 milliamp, and this is what channel 2 is measuring. So this voltage is looking for a path to ground, so we should see 12 volts on here until the passkey module decides to ground it, and that's when the starter should, engage, or the module should let the starter engage. So I want to see if both of those things are happening, because the wire was cut because this car was a no crank. That was, one of the problems. So will we see anything on there? I don't know, but let's set up the scope, crank it, see what happens. Alright, here we go. Channel 1 starting at 0 volts. Channel 2 is at battery voltage, as we expect, because this is battery on all the time. So key on. You see, that's 5 volts coming from the PCM. We crank it. We shut it off. So that module is not pulling down that fuel enable signal whatsoever. And it's not enabling the starter either. So neither of those things are happening, and yet the car starts and runs. It's a miracle, actually. Let's try again. So it says car may not restart, theft system problem, so we just hit reset. The message goes away. Fantastic. Air conditioning is blowing cold. So I think we'll leave it at that, unless the customer wants to find a new passkey module, which would be stupid. For, if it starts and runs reliably, that's all you can ask for. A little warning message, don't worry about it, just push the button if it annoys you, and that's it. But we proved right here that the module isn't doing anything at all. We could check powers and grounds to it, we should, but it's looking like a bad module. Alright, so I'm checking powers and grounds at the module. This is ignition power. It's there. Let's also check the constant battery power. That's the next wire over. That would be this pin right here. That's good. Let's make sure we have a good ground. So I'm just looking at the schematic right here. So we have battery power, orange wire on pin A1, pink and black wire ignition power on pin A2. Ground should be on pin B5, black and white wire. Let me find that. So the ground also checks out. So the module is unplugged right now. I just want to see what happens. Will this thing start? It does. Theft system problem, car may not restart. You just push reset. So basically, this passkey module is completely dead. We can leave it unplugged. It doesn't need the old key or the ignition lock cylinder or anything. It's fine. How about that? I didn't know you could do that. I thought it would disable the car. So